What's going on, fam? I am pumped for today's guest, my buddy Tommy Mello. A lot of you guys know him from A1 Garage Doors. He wrote a book called Home Service Millionaire. He's got the Home Service Expert podcast. He just released a new book called Elevate, and he's all over the place as far as not his focus, but on social media, books, events, speaking, all that sort of thing. I was able to pin him down for an hour to really dive into a lot of business philosophy, some tactics, some leadership, some mindset, growth, delegation, all sorts of different things. So I would encourage you guys for this episode, hopefully you can take notes on this. Do not try to implement all of the things at once. Tommy is a wealth of knowledge. He went through like 45 minutes, man. It felt like 5 minutes, right? We could have gone 10 hours with everything that was that Tommy was talking about. So super appreciative of his time, but there's a lot there, right? So don't try to implement everything at once. That is where we will reach that analysis paralysis and we won't get anything done, right? So really had a lot of fun with this one. I know you will too. Get a lot of value out of it. So tune in to my conversation with Tommy Mello. All right, what's going on, Tommy? How you doing today?
Amazing. I woke up with a little bug, but I'm working through it. Got to go to work.
Wait, you didn't call in sick?
I should have. I never thought of that. That would have been a great idea.
I never thought of that. No, I'm not endorsing that. I never thought about that either. But when you got a lot going on, there is no calling in sick. You just kind of figure it out, right?
You got to persist through all this stuff, and there's very little days I've ever taken sick unless I feel like I'm going to get somebody else sick. That's the only time I work from home.
Yeah, I hear you. So as I was doing the intro, I didn't know really how to introduce you because I know you got a few different things going on. So how about I just let you do that because obviously you know yourself best. So give the audience a little bit of a background as to who is Tommy, kind of background, businesses, books. You got a lot of cool stuff going on these days.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I grew up in Michigan, and I shoveled snow, mowed lawns. When I was 12, I started washing dishes. My mom and dad got a divorce when I was 7 years old. Learned a lot in life young, but I made the best of it. I got 2 Christmases, 2 birthdays. They really did a good job of helping me grow up, and I felt a lot of love. And I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. So moved out to Phoenix when I was 16, graduated a year early. I was bartending, flipping cars, you name it, just had the entrepreneurial bug, and decided to get into the garage door business. I started painting garage doors for a buddy of mine. And I could paint 10 doors a day on the weekend, so I could paint 20 doors Saturday and Sunday. Bartending, bussing tables, you name it. I had a small landscape company. And I kept meeting with these garage door guys to pick up the paint samples and realized this might be an industry I want to pursue. So I did a ride along with a buddy of mine that was in the business. We decided to go out on our own in 2007. And if there could be a mistake, there was a mistake. I mean, Murphy's Law. If it could go wrong, it did go wrong. In 2010, I bought him out, figured out a lot. I had my mom and stepdad come work for me. They moved from Michigan in 2010. 2014, I found an amazing integrator, Adam Cronenberg. 2017, I got onto Service Titan as well as hired Al Levy. And that's right around when my first book came out, The Home Service Millionaire, how I went from $50,000 in debt to $30 million business. And really did great about hiring for my weaknesses. I got really involved in reading books and just slowly began to correct some of the things that were going wrong. And we took on a partner late December of last year, so 2022, and it was a great outcome. I'm pretty much the largest investor in the company. I own over 46% of the business still, but we were able to build 25 millionaires in the process with an equity incentive program. And I'm still the CEO. We've got an amazing company called Core Tech. And I wrote another book that just got released in the last couple of months called Elevate, Build a Business Where Everybody Wins. And putting out a lot of great content, just built a new recording studio, having a lot of fun, just showing up. I'm extremely busy. I've been speaking a lot. I've got the podcast, The Home Service Expert, and I've got something coming late this year. It's going to help all home service companies out. So really excited about that.
That's it? That's all
That's
you got
it.
going on? Yeah. All right. Dude, that's awesome, man. Lot going on there. I'm just taking down notes as you're talking. You mentioned you hired an integrator back in 2010 or something like that. Are you speaking my EOS language? Is that you guys follow EOS or you just using
Yeah,
that
so I
term?
read the book. I read it way after I realized I had one. I've had Gino Wickman on my podcast. Mark Winters came on the podcast. I definitely am not an EOS full blown. I've got like 8 books about EOS. I understand your big rocks and I can speak the language, but we basically took a lot of different things from Traction and different books and made it our own. We've learned a lot from like Al Levy in particular, Ellen Rohr, but I've been able to have a lot of great people around me that I call friends, but they're more of a mentor. When I got rebranded by Kick Charge, which is Dan Antonelli, that changed the game. I
Yeah.
didn't realize how important a brand was, and that happened about 4 years ago, so 2019, 2020, and slowly began to learn that success leaves clues. So I started hanging out with a bunch of HVAC companies that most owners have private jets. And I was like, if he's got a private jet, lives in a mansion, and only goes to work 20 hours a week, I should probably hang out with the guys in that industry. And I've took everything they taught me and applied it to a different industry: service agreements, financing, branding correctly, uh, and now it's something pretty special. We're one. I don't know if there's another platform in the garage door industry. When the company partnered with us, they said you guys were just light years ahead of everybody. So it's fun, and we still got a lot of work to do. I mean, our goal is in the next 3 years to be over 100 million in EBITDA.
Awesome. Wow. So you talk about the rebrand with Kick Charge. That's A1 Garage Doors, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Why did you feel that was the right time after all those years of having success to go through a rebrand?
I started really paying attention to branded searches versus non-branded searches. And Levy said, one of the tests I do is take a picture of your van. We're going to put it in black and white, a black and white photo. And I want you to see if your brand pops out at you. And I looked at the picture of the van. I'm like, this sucks. And I called Dan Antonelli and he's like, oh boy. He's like, we knew each other, but we really got to know each other well. And he's like, I don't even like the name A1. I'm like, well, I'm not changing that. So
Yeah.
so he came up with a great, great, great brand. We got rid of all the bullshit on the side of the truck, like Angie's List and BBB and all the other stuff where people put everything they do, springs, cables, bearings, new garage doors. And we just made it a clear brand that I'm really proud of. And I had no idea how important that was, is that my mailers look like my yard signs, look like my business cards, look like my website, look like my wrap trucks, because everything looked a little bit different. And now it's all symmetrical.
And what do you think? Why do you think there's so much value in everything looking the same from a brand perspective?
Well, when you're trying to brand, you want people to have total recall. They want to recollect what exactly you're putting out there, right? So when they see your thing, they see your billboard. And I don't have a phone number or a website on my billboard. It's just supposed to make my brand pop out. It's supposed to make people recall me when they have an issue. And I didn't realize this, but by having billboards, TV, radio, being the top of Google on GMB, LSA, PPC, and organic, it's very, very powerful because a lot of people, when they see my name pop up on the internet, my click-through rate goes through the roof. And I know I'm getting down in the weeds. But what also happened, which was amazing, was when I did TV, radio, billboards, I indirectly was advertising towards my internal clients, which are my coworkers. Some people call them employees. And these people came in and they said, I've researched you. I've watched all your videos. I want to build a career with you. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be successful. And when I figured that piece out, how important the people that are on my team were for some of the marketing, it changed everything. So now I say, I'm looking for customers 40% of the time, but I'm looking for that next internal customer 60% of the time, because the guys I have, they don't call in a lot. They keep good track of inventory. They're giving their cards out at parties and gas stations. They're always showing up with a smile. They're respectful. They're honorable. They have morals and high ground. So it changes the game when you could recruit the best of the best and they actually want to build a career under your umbrella.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. Like that's something that we've been fortunate enough to attract, and through social media, through our content, that sort of thing. Like former clients of ours are now on our team, and it's so powerful. And you see so many contractors and home service companies out there just like putting out the lame post on social media like, hey, we're hiring, make 100 grand or make 50 grand or whatever it is. And that is like their strategy, right? So I try to get people as much as possible to like start like you're marketing for customers, you're marketing for team members, and like these other things that you can't even think about right now. So that's huge. I hope more companies really embrace that because turnover is huge, right? Like that's a huge expense. It's a huge problem. So you can find those right people and be able to keep them, and they can continue to grow with you. Like that's where you really see some magic happen.
When I learned to hire for personality over hire for talent, when I learned to hire somebody that could tell a great story, that's always smiling, the right eye contact, the right tonality, great relationship with their family, who tell their family what their goals are, and they have accountability within their homestead. When you figure that piece out and you could build technicians, we've got a training center. We could handle 100 technicians a month. We've never got to that point yet. But the training center is all about learning about these things. We'll teach you the technical skills. We'll teach you how to use Service Titan, and we'll teach you how to do the job because we've got checklists, we've got standard operating procedures, we've got all these things dialed in. But when you hire great people instead of taking a technician from another company, it changes the game. Period. It's unbelievable when you could train a guy that had zero skills in the garage door industry that'll actually produce $1 million that year. And I think that's probably the most special thing about our company. If I look at every other home service company out there, I haven't found a whole lot of them that could take somebody that's a busboy who's always smiling, working their butt off, very considerate, and then train them a skill where they could come out making a lot of money. And people say, well, how can you afford to pay that? Well, look at your turnover rate. How much are you spending on recruiting and training? And you add it all up. When you add up how much it costs to retrain an employee or lose an employee, it's usually half of what their yearly salary or their hourly or their performance pay is. And I think that keeping employees happy, helping them achieve their goals, their dreams, their bucket list, you get way further. And for some reason in the home service industry, a lot of them, they say, there's no way I could pay a guy $70,000 a year. They work for me. They're not taking the risk. And that's just the wrong attitude. When you pay people performance and there's no tenure, it changes the game.
Awesome. You refer to them as internal clients, internal customers. Talk about that. I'd like to unpack that a little bit.
Well, anybody that says these are just employees, we work together. I don't care who gets the credit. I really don't. I want to succeed. And, we have a responsibility as business owners to be profitable. Money is not the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. And I think people get that wrong all the time. And you have an obligation to society, to your community to make a profit. And by bringing these people in and helping them win, we all work together. We were at a time siloed where the departments cared a lot more about their success than the whole of the company. And that's why I did an equity incentive program where a lot of people were able to participate as owners. But really getting everybody to run in the same direction, we're a team. And there's a great book by Simon Sinek, Eat Leaders Eat Last. I'm help pushing forward. I show up every day. I'm trying to be the best leader I can. And I got a lot of work to go. Trust me, I'm nowhere near where I want to be. I have this strong gratitude towards everybody around me that's helping me succeed. And now my dreams are happening. They're all of them are coming true. So to give back, I love people accomplishing their dreams. And I feel like I was put on earth to help a lot of people accomplish their best version of themselves and their goals and their dreams.
That's awesome, man. I mean, they say that success is about, I think John Maxwell talks about it. Success is about you. Significance is about others. And it sounds like that's kind of in line with your philosophy on everything.
Zig Ziglar once said, you can accomplish everything you want in life if you help enough people accomplish what they want.
Yeah,
and I live
100%.
by that.
What you mentioned a couple times, you mentioned at the beginning, like you hire for your weaknesses. You mentioned surrounding yourself with the right people. Was that something that you've always had in you, or is that something that you've learned as you've matured that, you can't be good at everything and need to surround yourself with other people that can kind of fill in those gaps, or how did that develop?
I think I had a paradigm shift, and I don't know exactly when it was. I think when I've learned to kind of build an org chart and build a box around every person instead of hiring somebody and building a box around that person. And when I looked at the accounting and the financing and the stuff we do in QuickBooks now intact, I didn't feel very passionate about it. I wasn't excited to come to work and dig into the nitty gritty or going to service time to work on the price book. It didn't get me excited for Mondays. So I decided to find everything I hated. And I tiered it. Number one, this is what I hate the most. Number two, number three. And I found really great people that are better than I'll ever be at those positions that actually enjoy it. And that changed everything. Is because they enjoy what they do. They're problem solvers. They dig into numbers. They get excited to give results. And I recognized who I was. And I said, I'm really good at these few things. And I really want to become the best of the things I'm great at. And I don't want to be the best at everything in the business, even though I've had every role in the company. A lot of them I really sucked at.
Yeah, dude, I've had that realization just like within the past year, I think. And maybe it comes with like, maturity. I think you just turned 40, right?
Yep.
So maybe that's like an inflection point where, 40 is like, all right, well, I don't have all the time in the world to try to figure everything out, right? And I always had this kind of false belief that as a business owner, I needed to be good at everything, or if I wasn't, I needed to develop that skill to get good at that. And it really wasn't until the past, year where I surrounded myself with some people that are like, hey, it's okay if you're not great at like the bookkeeping or the details or the admin or whatever it might be. Some of the things that I also don't really like and therefore procrastinate on doing. That's okay. Right? Find people that love to do those things, that are good at those things. And it's been really freeing. It's been really like a sigh of relief that I don't have to try to be good at everything, and I think so many business owners, and I had that false belief for like way too long. And I think it held me back. And I think so many, early stage business owners like think they have to try to be good at everything. What would you recommend to those guys that are like, owner operator starting out, try to like get that first couple hires, bust out beyond their own hustle? Like, is it a mindset thing? Is it really just like, is it a key hire at the beginning? Like, what do you recommend? And I'm sure you share some of this in your books as well.
There's a lot to unpack there. Number one, as I started viewing business as sports, and I'm a coach. And I don't like to call myself a manager, a CEO, an owner, founder. I want to become the best coach ever. And when a team loses, the players don't get fired. The coach gets fired. So taking complete accountability for the team, number one. Number two is what I can tell you is as a leader and a coach, it's my job to recruit the right people onto the team and give them the best playbook possible. But when we talk about this, I don't know a lot of quarterbacks that also play left tackle or wide receiver. They don't do that. They're the best at what they can do. And that's what makes an Olympic the best of the best, a Super Bowl team, right? To use the NFL. So what I would say is, first of all, if you're a young business owner, you probably don't have a ton of money. So you're putting sweat equity into the company. The biggest thing I see from a lot of young entrepreneurs is they'll work their butt off for 3 years and then they'll decide they deserve something. Like they'll buy a big house or a Ferrari or whatever it might be. They finally put enough sweat equity into the business where it could start doubling each year and tripling and quadrupling. Then they go and they decide, I should reward myself and start back sometimes at ground zero because a depreciating asset. And I don't even think it should be called an asset because it loses value so fast. Now your home should gain, but a rental home would be considered an asset that actually keeps paying yourself forward. But when you're young in business, I think you should take notes on everything you do. You should have an old-fashioned weekly book that has your calendar and write down all the things you're doing all the time. And then circle the things or highlight the things that are a waste of time that you could hire somebody at $20 an hour for. Another mistake I see is they don't want to spend the money. Their uncle's brother-in-law's sister does accounting. And they'll be like, I could get this done for 50 grand instead of paying 100. If you look at the best fractional CFOs in the world, they make $1 million a year. But if you hire them for 4 hours out of their 40, you're paying them $100,000, but getting $1 million of routines and setup and technology and API configurations, and you're getting the right steps to grow forward really, really fast. Now, when you hire that $80,000 an hour CFO, you're probably making a lot of mistakes. They don't really know how to build a successful $10 million plus company. And I think a lot of us, we hire a lawyer that is a friend of a friend who did divorce attorney law, and now they're writing up your corporate structure. It's like, we're always looking for a deal. We're hustlers, right? Business owners usually are. And that's one of the biggest mistakes is we hire people because they have good results at another company, but that doesn't mean they'll be good for your company. There's a lot of mistakes a lot of young entrepreneurs make. And the problem is if they're not doing it, it doesn't get done right because they haven't learned delegation. They haven't heard writing down a manual and training people. When I played football, we played 2-a-days. We practiced twice a day to play one game. So we practiced 10 times to play one. In business, we say you're going to follow this person for 2 weeks, and then you're out on your own. Then you're going to have to figure out how to do it for the rest of the time that you're with this company. We double down on practice all the time, whether it's role play, ride-alongs, coming back to Phoenix to go back through training. Is if you don't live in a world that accepts change and you're not always coaching and always paying attention to help people better their best. I don't care if you're the best in the company. I care that you're better than you were last week and you acknowledge the fact that you need help. And that we're working on your goals together. You told me when you figure out the root of what people want, and it's very specific. It's not just I want more money and I want to be happy. It's I want to own a house in 18 months. I want to go on a 10-year anniversary with my wife and bring my kids along, and that's 10 grand. I want to go on this golf trip with my dad, and I need to save up for that. I want to have 2 rental houses in 36 months. It's a lot easier for me to say, listen, here's what needs to happen today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year. And when I'm talking to these people, it's not a hard conversation. I'm trying to give you everything you've asked for and hit your timelines. So this has to happen at work. And you've got to have a lot of help at home to make sure they understand why you're working this extra shift or this extra job or whatever it might be. And when everybody's aligned perfectly, it's so easy for people to succeed. But they got to have a plan. They got to have a goal. They have to have a destination. And it might be that house. And it's not the infinite game. It's just not about winning one thing. It's about having a life. There's no win or losses in business. It's supposed to be ongoing. And Jim Collins says, build a business built to last. As you build a business that can succeed without you. Because if you want to sell to a company and say, they need me. These guys need me when I'm gone. That is selfish. It means you built a business that's going to fail. That like if you retired and you said, they need me so bad I need to come back in. Well, you didn't do a great job. Because if the business depends on you, that's not really a business. And it's not worth as much money.
Wow. There's a lot there, man. You're inspiring me to dig in deeper with my team members. I don't call them employees either, really, to figure out what they want. That's so key. And then I think that accountability becomes, easier because it's like, well, you told me this is what you want. I'm just helping you get it. It's like I'm not coming down on you. Like I'm helping you get what you want. Right.
Well, in the interviews, find out what they want, because if they're not people that know how to dream anymore, and a lot of us don't, but sometimes we got to peel back the onion and say, listen, when was the last time you really sat down and reflected on what you want? You figured out, like I've got a 5-year plan of who I want to be as a person and a man and my family and what I want my life to look like. And I'm not going to get super granular with like at 8 a.m. in 5 years, I will be praying, I'm not breaking it down into that, but I want to explain who I am and what my life looks like is how much am I fishing? How much am I golfing? How much am I in business? When does my cell phone turn off? And as I lead by example, it's easier for others to pick that up. And it's not easy. Some people are just like, I'm content. And content is the worst thing you could ever be. Everybody that I work with, they want more. And they've always asked for more. We teach them, go for no, ask for more. It's not always easy. I'm like, listen, I've had to build some new plans. We built a service agreement plan. They take a little piece of that each month. It's an annuity for them. We brought in a 401k. That's helping them out. We brought in, if you recruit somebody, you make $1,500. So I've got other ways for them to make more and more money. That's really just performance pay. If they go recruit 10 people a month, that's 15 extra G's a month. So they can never come to me and say I'm not making enough because they all make 6 figures. But I give them ways to make lots and lots of more money.
That's awesome. That opens up my paradigm because everyone wants that career progression, right? But there's not always like a seat for someone that at that next level, right? So I like that. I like that idea of giving them other ways to grow, to advance, to make more money. Yeah, that's great stuff. You held up your book there. You want to talk? You're going to mention something about that, or you want to talk about that in general, or?
Well, yeah. The whole point of Elevate is build a business where everybody wins. Is it really? You want everybody around you to win. My vendors, I want to know their 3-year plan and their 5-year goal. I want to understand it and I want to help them. If they're struggling in a certain market, A1 will go into that market and they'll take more market share. If they're not getting the right product mix, I'll help them get the product mix to their high-end products. If their goal is to grow in Northeast, I'll start going into those markets because we want them to win. We want the employees, which the coworkers, which we talked about, we want these guys to feel like they're winning all the time. They're accomplishing their goals. They're stronger relationships, soccer practice for their kids, making it home for dinner. So making them the best version of themselves. I want to win, so I'm included. And the customers, my clients win. They got to feel like they got the best service the same day they wanted it, and they've got the door of their dreams. So if you really think about it, business doesn't need to be a win-lose situation. Everybody should win. And that's the basis of the book, is figuring out a way to make sure that everybody around you is winning. And there's nobody that feels like they got the bad side of the deal.
Right, right. You seem to have a lot figured out, Tommy. Is there something that you're struggling with, or you haven't figured out yet, or you're really working on, or like a new challenge or something?
So, I had a rather decent size chunk of money hit my account in December, and I needed to kind of figure out what life looks like. About a house that I've always wanted to be able to bring the private equity guys and the different management leadership. We hang out at the house a lot. And I like hanging out in a place where we could have a lot of fun and we can enjoy ourselves. We bought a house in Idaho too that we're building. We're really working through now is, how do I 10x my efficiency? So I'm hired a nutritionist. I've got my blood tests done. It has to do with your gut, your hormones. It has to do with your adrenal glands, your mental acuity, your sleep. So I'm really figuring out how to get into the perfect physical shape, because there's two things I can't buy. That's time and that's health.
Mm-hmm.
So really my focus now is how do I bring the next 2 executive assistants in, which will be next week? How to get the personal assistant? How do I make travel easier? I just hired somebody to help me with my personal wardrobe because half my stuff didn't fit right.
Uh-huh.
And it's amazing how I feel when I have clothes that actually fit. I'm not talking about buying the most expensive stuff. I'm just saying, feel comfortable in the clothes you're in. And what it's helping me do is say I need to get into the best physical shape I need to be in. So for me, getting the right sleep, getting the right tests done, eating the right foods, cutting out some of the alcohol as much as I enjoy it. Those are things that I'm really working on, and it's a work in progress, but it's something that's super important to me. So that's probably the largest thing that I'm focused on right now.
Dude, I love it. Is that something that you help your team with, others around you with as well? Like as far as your training for A1 or your other companies?
So we have a gym here where a lot of people use it. We had a 90-day challenge we did. That we have a dream manager that helps people understand their dreams and hold them accountable. Yeah, we invest in the Dave Ramsey program to help them with finances, because they don't teach you in high school how to manage your pocketbook. And I think that's important. I think that people should really be looking at building a personal budget. There's 3 things in business that I've seen over the years that make companies ultra, ultra, ultra successful. Number 1 is they have a detailed plan. They know what their conversion rate is. They know what their average ticket is. They know what their booking rate is. They know what their cost per acquisition is. They know exactly their budget and what they need to do to make it happen. They don't just say, I want to make more money and more EBITDA, and I want to be happy and I want to enjoy Monday, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, I know in detail where I'm going. Number 2 is they have really hard conversations. They're not afraid of those difficult conversations. And number 3 is they're a talent magnet. They literally know how to attract A-plus players and get the best. And if you got those 3 things, it's very hard to not be successful. And the same thing is kind of in your individual. If you've got a really great plan and you know what you need to do to accomplish your goals, and you're willing to have tough conversations, then they're going to win as well. So we're working on that. It's not easy because, a lot of these guys didn't finish high school. They really didn't care to necessarily have some of the things that I dream about, but some of their dreams are very important. Some of them are that they can take care of their parents. Some of them are to put their kids in private school, and they're not always aligned with what my goals are, and that's fine. But I want them to accomplish it and feel like they've done what they wanted in their life. And it's not easy. We have 600 plus employees, and it's going to be over 1,000 at the end of the year. And next year it's going to double. I'll tell you, one of the other things that I'm dealing with is, I've got these guys coming in every month, and we've got a slideshow that we give them. It's about 75 slides. And these guys are financial engineers. They're able to spot something out. They'll circle 8 things. They'll come in, they'll ask a million questions. And recently, a lot of my leadership team said, this is very hard for us. We thought we were doing so good, and it's kind of belittling. And I said, this is an opportunity. This is making us such a better company. Like, don't look at this as a bad thing. And Doug said something really interesting the other day. He said, guys, Tommy's the CEO. We're not telling you guys what to do. We're asking you questions, and never say that the PE companies or the investors made us do this. You need to take complete ownership. You need to make sure that you're doing the right thing by your people and you agree with some of the things we have to say. We're not telling you to do anything. We bought a business, the best of the best. We only invest in great businesses. And you guys are a big, you guys are like 99% of that. We're the 1% challenging you guys to look at different things. And you guys need to take complete ownership of the decisions. Don't say, well, the reason we're laying off, 5 CSRs is because they told us to. It's because they're poor performance. And it's the best for the company. So that meant a lot to me to really take complete ownership and not say, well, these guys, they're opening up our eyes to so many things. They're having us report on things that we've never looked at. And it's like, I thought I was a badass. And now I realize how much stuff I had to work on. I mean, we were doing 15, 20% EBITDA. And now it seems like we're going to be able to hit 30, 32%.
Whoa. Wow. I'm sure you got some ears perking up after you dropped that bomb. That's, I think, one of the key traits of any leader, any person is humility, right? Like, you're at this level, but there's always levels. There's always more to learn.
Well, let's look at this. When I go golfing or I go bowling or I shoot pool or any games I play, and I play a lot, it's so much fun to go with somebody who's way better than you. And that's what I've always done. I found people that are way better at every level of business that I'm in. And, I love to help people. I really do. I love to find people and tell them all the mistakes I've made. But I've always surrounded myself with people that are like 10X, right? So I've always got something to aspire to be better to. Unless I'm like worth $100 billion or something. And it's not always about money's just a KPI. It's how is everybody doing around me as well? Because I'm not stepping on toes all the time, talking behind people's back to get successful. I never want to have to look over my shoulder and say, I really did that guy a discredit or that gal a discredit. I'm focusing on making sure that everybody's winning around me. And it's amazing whether you believe in karma or whether you believe in Jesus or doing the right thing, but it all comes back full circle.
That's huge. Bringing it back down to, not down, but bringing it back to the contractors, the home service pros, leaders that are, they're doing a few $1 million a year, whatever it might be. They're like, dude, all this stuff that Tommy's talking about right now sounds amazing. Like, that's where I want to be. I want to be operating in that CEO seat, that visionary seat. But I feel like I just don't, like, how do you find the time to do that, right? Like, I just don't have the time I'm too busy, like, with the urgency of the day, putting out fires, this, that, and the other thing. How do you manage your calendar? It sounds like you've got obviously an amazing team around you, but what do you recommend to those people that are like, I just need to get out of my own way so I can work on some of these things?
Well, like I said, identify your weaknesses. You got to get super organized. You need to understand and plan your day the night before. You need to have, if you're not good at organization, you might have ADHD like me and almost every business owner, at least slightly. You got to have somebody around you. An executive assistant is a great person. And it's going to take some time because to be able to trust somebody, you might say, well, they screwed up. They booked me a 3-stop ticket to go to Florida and I would have flew straight there. Yes. But did you show them how to do it? Did you use the 8 steps of delegation? And I have those right here. And a lot of people, they never understood how to delegate. I learned this from Al Levy, but here's what needs to get done. Here's why it needs to get done. Here's what you have available to get it done. Here's the priority assigned to it. Here's when it needs to be done by. Here's the meeting to schedule. The progress being made. Here's the consequences and rewards if not done. And did the task get done? And what opportunity do we have for feedback? And did they sign off on it? A lot of times I see business owners and management that they never really delegated correctly. They just said, why didn't you do it like me? That's stupid. What's wrong with you? They never take accountability. They never look themselves in the mirror. And that's the biggest problem is you never gave it. Why did the guy get hurt on the job? Why was he doing it like that? Show me his training that he was able to do it 10 times in a row perfectly your way. Do you have a manual that shows to not get tattoos over the side of your face that says F you? Probably not. We have a manual that says that. No facial tattoos, no knuckle tattoos. Where did you have them read out loud what was expected of them, how they get paid? What happens if their truck breaks down? What happens? So we look at these people around us and say they're failures when we're the failure. We didn't explain it. We didn't train on it. We didn't make sure they understood it correctly. And so I think the biggest problem for young entrepreneurs, young in business at least, as it could be any age,
Right.
is we expect no one else is going to do it like us. Well, what if people let's just use grade point averages. What if we're a 4.0 in our business? But what if we get a bunch of 3.0 people that could get way more done in a day? No one's going to do it exactly like us because they might not care as much. And that's why I have the equity incentive program, performance pay, great bonuses that matter about the big things. And I think that people just say, here's another big problem is I'm not getting enough leads. Everybody's going to blame their marketing company, but have they looked at their conversion rate? Their average ticket sucks. They're not answering calls nights and weekends. Their Google My Business page shows open from 9 to 4 p.m., closed on weekends. Like, take accountability.
Right.
Well, it's on you. What are you doing to grow your business? Who are you out there meeting? No one's going to do this for you, or they'd have their own business. So until you understand that you are the business when you're smaller, for sure, that you've got to hustle harder than anybody. But it comes back to David and Goliath. As a smaller company, you could go ask some of your clients for 4 reviews. You could get video testimonials. You could do more. There's a big advantage to being smaller. You could pivot faster.
Mm-hmm.
So I see a lot of people with a lot of excuses as it's easy for you to say. No, it's not, because I was the one guy in a van. I've done it. I've been where you're at. An excuse to say it's easy for you to say, you have no idea. I'm in a bad market. Or, oh, it always is raining here. Or it's tax season. Or Obama, Biden is screwing us over. Whatever it is, you see the people that always have an excuse. And then you have people that'll take ownership and say, listen, this is on me and I'm going to get better. I'm going to solve the biggest thing in my way first. And then I've got a second thing and then a third thing. And it gets really hard. Those few first hires are going to help navigate everything for you. Jim Collins says also, get all the right people on the bus and then decide where you're going. And another thing I see is people don't dream big enough. They don't have big enough goals. If you want to hit $100 million and you fall short and you're at 40 million and you were at 20 before, you just doubled. But some people say, I really want to just get to the point where I'm bringing in $5 million of revenue, hopefully 20%, 1 million bottom line. Well, shit, that's not a big enough goal. I mean, that's not going to help you really break through some of those ceilings that we have. Dream a little bit bigger is all I'm saying.
What's that? Dream a little bit bigger?
Dream a little bit bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole thing you mentioned about like travel and like an executive assistant, I'm 45 days into a new executive assistant and we're working on things together. She's doing great. And it's funny, you brought up the travel things. We actually went through the exercise of doing that yesterday. I have a trip in a couple of weeks. And I was like, hey, do some research. Here's what I want. Here's some options. Like, here's what I normally do. I want to see like kind of what you come back with, right? And in the meantime, I did my own travel research like I normally do. And, we compared notes. And I was like, all right, well, you recommended this, that, and the other thing. I recommended this. I was like, here's some information that I had that I didn't really give you. I didn't think to share with you. So now you know kind of my preferences for next time. So having that understanding that's not going to be perfect the first time, but you have to be open to giving feedback and not criticizing, but saying like, hey, I want you to succeed. I want this relationship to work out. I want the company to succeed. And therefore we need to have those open conversations. That's something for me that has been a game changer, just being willing to like give kind candor, as Gary Vee says, or feedback or, whatever that might be. How do you go about that?
Well, here's what I would do. If I actually had my own style of doing it, first thing I would do is say, I'm just going to record. I'm going to do a Zoom or a Loom, whatever preference you have. And I'm going to say, I'm just going to call it Margaret. I don't even have, I don't know a Margaret, but I just made that name up.
Good. Good safe one there.
So Margaret, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to log into this account. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to make sure my TSA number is in here. This is what I do first because I've gone to the thing without the TSA. And then I got to go through regular security. So that's what I'm focusing on first. Next thing I do is I'm always going to see if there's a direct flight. Now I go to these 3 different websites. Now here's the thing about this website. You got to make sure you click on this button and look at this. This is one of the things I do. And then I'm going to once I get done with this, I'm going to transcribe it all. I'm going to highlight the things in there that are important. And I'm going to say, all right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you 3 different trips. Maybe they're real, maybe they're not. and I want to see how you do this, and I want to watch your looms to see how you figured it out. If I gave the right direction and I made it so simple that even a VA in India could do it, then I did my job correctly. If you could have a 10-year-old C student, B student, figure something out and you make it simple, but if you go, listen, I want you to open 10 websites. I got to have the quadratic formula figured out. I need you to do this equation perfectly. I need to pull out your TI-83. It's like, make it super simple. Keep it simple, Simon, right?
Yep, there you go. There's a lot of info. There's a lot of good content out there. There's a lot of content in general on social media. There's a lot of gurus, people giving advice, coaches, things like that. Do you see things that like you repeatedly say, man, like that's bad advice, or like I wouldn't recommend that? Like things that are kind of commonly accepted out there that you kind of disagree with, or you think that people should really understand at a deeper level a little bit better?
Well, first of all, almost every entrepreneur I know has no clue what tax law, what you're able to do. Accelerated depreciation when you buy vehicles. They don't understand cost segregation studies. They don't understand the Augusta tax rule. They don't understand. They don't have a right tax advice. And that's one of the big ones. What I say, a lot of gurus out there, a lot of them are not real. A lot of them would rather become an influencer and a guru coach than actually make it into the real world. So if you're going to follow them, make sure it's real. I'm in the fight every day. I'm talking about real life experience, and I'm very vulnerable about what I suck at and what I'm working on. And if someone follows me, I'm just like, listen, I've got a lot of advice, but I've got a lot of things I made mistakes on, and I share them equally. And I just see all these guys popping up everywhere that I know for a fact they're not successful. I know that they're out there, they're having their big seminars, and they're barely breaking even in business. And they'd rather work on this seminar shit than make it in the real world in their own business because they think it's easier. And then they're out there giving all this advice when they weren't able to create it themselves. It's like when I went in my master's program, I had guys with tenure versus the guys that made it in the real world and came to teach. The guys that came back to teach, I sat in the front row and I was taking more notes, and I take them out to lunch, and I'm bringing them apples every day because that's what good students do. And I was like trying to do everything I could to extract information. And then you go to the guys reading out of the book, looking at case studies and bullshit. And I'd be in the back going, this is just something I need to get through. So I just be very, very careful who you're taking advice from, because what does everybody want to do? I want to open an e-commerce site. I want to work a 4-hour work week. I want to spend more time with family. You hear all the same shit. What if I told you this is not easy? It's gonna be a lot of struggle, a lot of relationships. It's going to be a lot of hard work. There's going to be a lot of 80-hour work weeks, but you're going to get what you deserve eventually. A lot of people spike it right at the end zone. They're right about to hit success. They're 3 feet from gold, and then they blow it. And I just think perseverance. I wear blinders. I'm focused on the race. I've read the book, the One Thing, to don't get sidetracked and go at every shiny object and get all these ideas. I think most entrepreneurs, we just get way too many ideas. Hey, I could be good at that. I can make money at that. I should buy a bar. I should invest in that. Oh, that would be amazing if I could get that lake house and have an Airbnb. What if you just put all your eggs into one basket? It would overflow into hundreds of millions of dollars, hopefully. I mean, it's worked out for us. We were doing just short of 30 million and got a very, 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 I think it's a record of our multiple. And, I never have to work again. The interest alone pays a couple $1,000,000 a month. But I'm just getting started. I'm in the fetal stages of what I'm working on.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, The One Thing's a great book. Essentialism, a similar book. Yeah. And I think one of the quotes from Essentialism is that you can do anything, but not everything, right? And I think so many people want to do everything. They're chasing shiny objects. You've got to pick and choose, right? So I agree with the focus there. I want to kind of wrap this up. I know you've got a lot going on, Tommy. What are you excited for? We're recording this in early May 2023. What are you pumped for this year? I know you talked about a few things so far. You've got your new book out. Tell people where they can find that sort of thing.
So a few things. Number one, the book is elevateandwin.com. I got a lot of great feedback on it. I'm working on a couple more books, but elevateandwin.com. And I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a quick read. It's got, I really do. I put a lot of time into it. I'm working on another book along the lines of the power of ADHD.
Okay.
And then I'm going to write another book that everybody keeps asking about is how do you do an equity incentive program and let people have ownership? How do you come up with performance pay? How do you build a solid budget? So working on that. I got to tell you, I'm excited about the house in Sandpoint, Idaho. I'm excited to be able to bring the coworkers up there and have retreats. I'm excited about I'm building a basement, 6,000 square feet with a wellness center, a golf simulator, a movie theater, a bar room, a pool table. It's going to have ping pong. It's going to have everything. And it's just going to be fun because that's the best moment of my life is when I invite my buddies over and Bree's got all of her friends over. We just go swimming and have fun, putting a lazy river in the backyard. But I'm just excited that I get in the help I need. I mean, from every angle, whether it's a nutritionist, whatever, my personal trainer, the people helping me figure things out that are just, they have my back and my best intentions. And it's allowing me to help others. And believe it or not, I've got coaches all the time. I'm getting more help probably. I've always got 4 coaches going on at once. And sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's mental, sometimes it's advice. But also, I got the podcast, The Home Service Expert. It's just, I interview a lot of owners, people, accountants, CFOs, best-selling authors. And then I've been doing a lot on TikTok, Instagram, on official Tommy Mello. And that's been really, really fun because I'm making content. And at the end of the day, I think there's an opportunity that I can help out a lot of business owners. And what it's about is just sharing. It's weird because everybody, you've heard there's no such thing as a free lunch, but I'm not really asking anything in return if I can't help people. So that's my story.
Man, that's some cool stuff going on. My college roommate has a place in Sandpoint, Idaho, and he's always posting pictures. It looks freaking right on the lake. It looks amazing. I've never been, but that's cool.
You'll have to go there. We'll have to. So we're just getting started here in 2 months. It's going to take 2 years, but
I bet
it's just a dream come true. And I don't really get excited about the house. I get excited about the special moments and the relationships going to get created there.
Yeah. I love that. Let's wrap it up, man. I mean, you could spit wisdom for hours. And I know that you do in your podcast, your books. We'll make sure that we link to everything below so that people can check you out. People want some more Tommy wisdom and juice. Like, what's the best place for them to start? Social media, website, book. Like, what do you recommend?
Yeah. Elevate and Win is the book. I would say if you like TikTok, Instagram, official Tommy Mello. Join the group, The Home Service Expert. There's about 7,000 people in there that we share all kinds of stuff all the time. We're tripling down on that. And the best piece of advice, real quick, that I could tell somebody is if you really want to be successful, fly out to someone's shop that's in a great industry, whether it's air conditioning. If you want to come to my shop, I have visitors twice a month. And you could actually feel the air change. You could see productivity. You could see what's going on. And success leaves clues all over the place. And interview the COO, talk to the CFO, talk to the VPs, talk to some of the technicians and CSRs and dispatchers. Because once you see it, it creates a much clearer vision of what you need to build. And a lot of people just want to pay it forward. So just all you got to do is ask. Yeah. And so many people are afraid to ask for help. They can't afford to leave. When they leave, there's a nightmare at home. All the more reason to leave and go see what the advice they should be taking.
I love that. I remember you shared that on the BTA podcast I listened to a few months back, and that was something I remembered for sure. So, man, you're always hungry, humble, looking to learn, and no doubt that's why you've been successful. And I know you've got a lot ahead of you. So, man, I appreciate you so much for sharing with our audience. I know you've got a lot going on. You're a busy guy, so thank you so much, Tommy.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate being on here.
All right, guys, so there you have it. I told you it would fly by. I felt like that was literally 5 minutes. It was crazy. So we went through so many things. Again, I would encourage you to take some notes if you didn't already and meet with yourself, meet with your spouse, meet with your team, meet with your leadership team, whoever it is, and try to figure out 1 or 2 or 3 things that you can really implement this week, this month, this quarter, this year, whatever that is for you. And then the second thing I would highly recommend, as Tommy talks about in the podcast, in the interview, he talks about the fact that he has coaches for different areas of his life, right? Obviously, he had a bunch of books behind him. He cited probably like a dozen books during the course of that episode alone. And that's something that I believe in too. I have a business coach. I have a couple peer mentors. I have an inner circle. We have a leadership team. And I have learned that, man, life is too short to try to figure out everything on our own and make all the mistakes that we need to make, right? My first 3 years in business, just being fully transparent, I really struggled because I thought I had to figure everything out on my own. It wasn't until I got my first business coach back in 2015 that I started to see like, oh, there's actually a path, like I can tap into the expertise and the experience of others. I'm still gonna make mistakes, but I can grow and impact that many more people because I'm learning that much faster. So 2 things, don't try to implement everything at once, and get a coach, get a mentor, even if it's like a book or a podcast or YouTube, whatever. Learn from others who have been there, who have done that, who are where you want to be. It's going to accelerate your learning. And again, it's going to help you to have a much deeper and much bigger impact, all right? So I hope that you got a ton of value out of this. As always, feel free to share, pay it forward, check out the links below, Tommy's book, Tommy's podcast, social media, all that good stuff so you can soak up more of that knowledge. And we'll talk to you soon.